First of all, Jane, my name is Ronnie Chan. Ronnie is a Western name, and Chan is a Chinese name.
杨名教奖。
And according to Zheng Yanxiong earlier, the director, let it be. And a lot of people have thought of changing the names, but my father named me after an Australian Jew by the name of Ronnie. So I'm very happy to live with that name for the last 70-some years, and why not for the next 30? So I think that tells you a lot already in itself, that the Hong Kong people is perhaps, for historic reasons, very much of a cultural blending place. We move easily between the East and the West. And when I say East, I don't just mean Chinese. I mean a little bit of Japan, a little bit of Korea, a little bit of Southeast Asia, because Hong Kong people travel so much, and we love all those countries. But of course, China being a big cultural factor in this part of the world, that to be able to move freely between the Chinese culture and the Western culture is really an advantage. And by the way, I go to India about 6-7 times a year too. And Hong Kong people will do well to get to know Indian culture as well. So I think that Hong Kong is privileged in a sense. We don't start at ground zero. We start at ground whatever, that we are really a step ahead of most people in terms of being culturally savvy and culturally adapt. I mean, then consider another thing. Bernard mentioned about the art institution and the museum that he and the Hong Kong government have built. I think that's fantastic. But also consider what I'm going to say next. Hong Kong has more private gallery probably than any other country, any other city in the rest of Asia. The only exception perhaps is Japan, but Japan is very big and very Japan-centric. Whereas Hong Kong is really all over the place. You have the best of the Chinese, you have the best of the West. And I was hosting an event where a top executive of an auction house in Hong Kong spoke. And he said to me, he said, in answer to my question, he said, there's only 3 auction centers in the world, and that is London, New York, and Hong Kong. And the reason is because historically, we have all the expertise right here. Talk about Chinese bronze, Chinese painting, Chinese calligraphy, Western modernist, postmodernist, classical, you name it. We have the expert here from judging the authenticity of it all the way to the technical restoration of it. Hong Kong has probably more of all that that chain than anywhere else in the world. And of course, finally, the very important thing is money. Hong Kong is the money. And the Hong Kong money is very much into the art. So the gentleman told me, the auction house gentleman, he said something like 70-80%, about 80% of the artwork sold in this part of the world are from the Chinese, from mainland, from Taiwan, and from Hong Kong. The next one is perhaps Vietnam, he told me, which was a little bit to my surprise, but whatever it is. So 70-80% of all the money that buys art is in Hong Kong or through Hong Kong. And so, all these things together with the sports, the air hub, the art, and so forth, and the business leaders who are making Hong Kong a hub, I just think that Hong Kong, not just on the business side, but in the art side, is unique. Finally, allow me to say one last thing to a little marketing. Right across the street here is a thing called the Asia Society. If you have not been to Asia Society, sorry, you're culturally unadapted.
Thank you.
So walk over there. There is an art exhibition right now. Listen, that is 5 Italian artists, sculptors and sculptresses working on stone, and 5 Hong Kong artists working on wood. And each piece is co-invented, co-created by an Italian and a Hong Kong. So, where do you see such thing, right? So I'm not just marketing Asian society, of course I am, but just to show you what Hong Kong is like. And these are the institutions that almost don't exist anywhere else in the world, in this part of the world. And so I'm very comfortable that Hong Kong in the artistic and cultural side of things will also blossom in the coming years and decades to come.